Exposed. The incredible journey of a ghostwriter revealing hidden voices in the corporate world. Emily Carter sat in her cramped home office, the flickering light of her laptop illuminating a room filled with family photos and colorful crayon drawings plastered to the walls. Her heart raced as she pounded the keys, pouring her soul into a story that demanded to be told. Behind the polished smiles and ostentatious boardrooms lay an underbelly of hidden struggles, and she was determined to bring these voices to the surface no matter the cost. Since losing her husband, raising two children had become less like a calling and more like a relentless grind. The chaos of snacks and school projects mixed with her passionate requirements as a ghostwriter, all too often pushing her own aspirations to the dusty corners of her mind. Yet, in those moments of connection with her clients, those high-powered CEOs seeking fame and success, Emily found echoes of her own challenges. She felt a growing passion to shed light on the realities buried beneath their narratives, the aches and fears of single mothers, veterans fighting for respect, immigrant families struggling to find their footing. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, the house fell silent, allowing Emily to drift deep into that state where writing became an escape. Each tap of her fingers released a layer of unexamined emotions, unmasking her yearning for change. These voices matter, she whispered to herself. Their stories are just as valuable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. One fateful evening, as she pieced together an expose on corporate greed that snuffed out community dreams, fear twisted in Emily's stomach. The truth she unraveled held power, but also danger. The very CEOs who lauded her work had now shifted from approval to disdain with a single keystroke. The anger of those deeply pocketed interests wrapped around Emily like a vice, squeezing as she questioned her own motives. Should she protect her children or fight for the truth? As the first wave of backlash began to flood her life, and threats slipped into the cracks of her happy home, her children caught glimpses of their mother's turmoil. In a burst of tenacity and youthful spirit, they rallied their friends and neighbors. With painted poster boards and hopeful smiles, they gathered in the backyard of their Maplewood home, turning a simple meeting into a vibrant display of support. "We believe in Mom," they shouted, unyielding in their energy. That night, surrounded by beaming faces and unwavering commitment, Emily felt a weight lift, albeit only slightly. Hope flickered like candlelight in the dark, urging her to confront the corporate titan trying to bury her hopes. The stakes grew higher, but so did her spirit. As she prepared for that fateful confrontation, her heart pounded louder and louder. Just then, her phone buzzed sharply, an unexpected call from an unknown number that threatened to erase everything she had fought for. Would she finally find the courage to lend her voice to those who had none? Or would this be yet another chapter silenced in the face of adversity? The community, filled with cautious anticipation, held its breath, knowing that the story was far from over, with truth on the edge of release. Emily took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the phone screen. The unknown number stared back at her like an ominous specter. She bit her lip, her heart racing with equal parts trepidation and determination. This could change everything. Finally, shaking slightly, she tapped the answer button. "Ms. Carter?" The voice on the other end was deep and smooth, yet there was an edge like a knife wrapped in velvet. "Yes, this is Emily Carter," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "Who is calling?" "Let us not waste time, Ms. Carter. I'm calling on behalf of a concerned party regarding your latest article. The one about corporate hypocrisy?" Uneasiness surged through her. "What about it?" "Consider stopping the publication. You wouldn't want to distract from your, how do you say it? Noble pursuits. Raising your children, for instance." The unspoken threat hung in the air. Emily felt a chill race down her spine. Who was this man? Why was he trying to intimidate her? I'll publish what I believe is right, she responded, trying to sound more defiant than she felt. Careful, Ms. Carter. The walls can close in quickly, especially when the air is thick with secrets. Have a good evening. The line went dead, leaving Emily clutching her phone, her breath coming in quick gasps. She glanced out the window. The neighborhood was quiet, but her heart thundered in her chest. She had stepped onto a battleground, and now the stakes felt dangerously high, not just for herself but for her children. Frustration and fear mixed inside her. She couldn't tee back down now. Her kids were counting on her, just like the voices she wanted to empower. With a renewed sense of purpose, Emily turned back to her laptop. She needed to gather more information, uncover more truths. That spirit of resilience she had felt earlier flickered back to life. After her children finally settled in for the night, Emily dove into her research. The screen glowed with various documents, articles, and reports about the corporation she had targeted. Each piece was a puzzle, and she felt inspired to connect the dots. The deeper she dug, the more she discovered about the dark underbelly of corporate practices that wallowed in the exploitation of the very communities they claimed to uplift. As the clock struck midnight, Emily stumbled upon something groundbreaking, a confidential report detailing unethical business practices directly tied to the CEO she intended to expose. The words blurred as she read, yet every line screamed truth. This was it. This was the story that could change everything. But with this discovery came another wave of fear. She wasn't just a ghostwriter anymore. She was stepping into the arena. The reality of losing her safe cocoon churned her stomach. Was she prepared for the onslaught of aggression that was sure to follow? Taking a deep breath, she reminded herself of that gathering outside. The support, the innocent belief in her strength, it was all she needed. She couldn't let fear win. She began to type, driven by a potent mix of fear and determination. Just as she reached a pivotal paragraph, her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Would this be another warning? Or could it be someone willing to join her fight? She hesitated for one heartbeat, feeling the weight of the moment. It could be the break she needed, or it could lead to something more dangerous. What would she choose? Holding her breath, she answered it, ready to face whatever came next. Hello. Emily's voice wavered, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her tone. Miss Carter, the voice was different this time, softer but no less chilling. I think we need to talk. You're in over your head. Who is this? She demanded. Tension tangled in her throat as she tried to keep her composure. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that you're about to stumble into something bigger than you realize. You need to be careful. Her heart raced. She felt a mix of dread and curiosity. Why should I trust you? Because I know what they're capable of. They won't just threaten you. They'll go after what you love the most, the voice warned. Silence filled the space between them. Emily's mind raced with images of her children, their innocent smiles turned into shadows of fear. She couldn't allow that to happen. What do you know? She pressed, her voice steadier now, fueled by an urgent fire. There are people who will do anything to keep this story from getting out. You've already attracted their attention. If you publish that article, you'll be putting yourself and your family in danger. For a moment, Emily felt the walls closing in again, panic seeping into her resolve. But in the depths of her fear, a glimmer of anger surfaced. Who were they to make her feel this way? And if I back down? She challenged, grasping for control. They'll keep coming. They don't stop. The power they wield is immense, and they'll ensure you never raise your voice against them again. Why are you warning me? She asked, her suspicion flaring. Because I believe in your cause. I've seen what happens to people like us. And right now, you're the only hope those voiceless communities have. You must be prepared for the fight ahead. The gravity of the moment settled in her chest. She had waded into a war, one that could swallow her whole. And yet, she couldn't turn away now. I need proof. If I'm going to risk everything, I need to know I'm not alone in this, she said firmly. Meet me at the cafe on Maple Street at noon tomorrow. I can give you information to help you, but you must be careful. They're watching. The voice instructed urgently before hanging up. Emily was left staring at the screen, her mind racing. This was at another fork in the road. Was she willing to meet a stranger in a cafe, potentially walking into a trap? Or was this her chance to gather the support she so desperately needed? Her heart thudded in her chest as she glanced at the clock. It was late, and sleep was an elusive dream. Instead, she grabbed a notepad, jotting down her plans for the morning. She would need backup, allies who understood the stakes. As Emily pinned down names, friends, fellow writers, even community leaders, the weight of her purpose anchored her. They would stand with her. She could cultivate an army of voices, drowning out the intimidation. Yet, lurking beneath her determination, fear whispered its doubts, asking whether stepping into the light would truly safeguard her children. With each note she wrote, clarity surged within. She wouldn't be silenced. She would fight for the truth, not just for herself, but for all those relying on her unraveling the dirty secrets of the corporation. Suddenly, the phone buzzed once more, the screen illuminating with an unknown number again. Her gut twisted. Was it the ominous voice warning her? Or would it be someone willing to fight by her side? Taking a deep breath, she decided to answer, fully aware that whatever lay beyond the threshold of this call could shape her destiny. What awaited on the other end, intimidation or empowerment, could change the course of her battle for truth. Hello? Emily's voice trembled slightly, curiosity intertwined with apprehension. Emily, it's James, came the familiar reply. Relief washed over her, momentarily easing the tension that had tightened around her chest. James! Thank goodness you called. She leaned against the wall, her heart still racing from the last call. She needed support more than ever. I've got a situation, listen. I've heard some unsettling things, he interrupted. There's talk about the corporation suppressing your article. People have gone missing. Her breath caught. Missing? What do you mean? Within the last month. Journalists, activists, anyone who dug too deep. His voice lowered. I thought of you and your children. I'm worried. Emily's mind raced, replaying every conversation she'd had, every warning. I've been warned too, James. They know about my story and what I'm planning. I'm coming over, he said firmly. We need to regroup, discuss the plan. James, I have a meeting tomorrow with someone who has information. They called me just now. Her thoughts trailed off as dread mixed with uncertainty. Could she trust this stranger? Emily, he said softly, I understand your passion. But please be careful. Don't take any unnecessary risks. We need to look out for each other. Her resolve hardened. I can't back down now. People are depending on this. It's bigger than me. Okay, he said, his voice steady. Just promise me you'll text me the location as soon as you get there. I'll be nearby, watching. She nodded, though he couldn't see her. I will. You're right. I'll keep my guard up. Just promise you'll be careful too. Always. As they hung up, Emily felt a moment of gratitude. Having James didn't erase her fear, but it gave her strength. An ally, a friend willing to stand against the tide. The sun had barely crested the horizon, casting gentle light throughout the room. She glanced at the clock again. Just a few hours left until noon. Her hands shook as she made a list of everything she wanted to ask, everything she needed to prepare. Emily fished out her laptop and began typing. Who was this mysterious informant? What could they possibly know that would change everything? Each keystroke fueled her thoughts. But then a rustle outside. She froze, the sound slicing through her focus, igniting her instincts. Was someone watching? She tiptoed closer to the window, peering through the curtains. Across the street, a figure lingered near her car. They wore dark sunglasses and a hat pulled low. Heart pounding, Emily grabbed her phone and shot a quick text to James, a simple, not-so-simple alert. Watching me. His immediate response was an endless sea of ellipses. In that charged moment, the fear of the unknown closed in on her. She couldn't shake the feeling of danger lurking just outside her home. But an even greater fear consumed her. What if she hesitated? What if she didn't speak out, and those whose voices mattered were silenced forever? Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself. Alexis and Noah had to come first. Emily wouldn't let anyone threaten their peace. She turned her back against the window, determination brewing again. As she resumed her notes for the meeting, the world outside faded to the background noise it had been all her life. Her resolve was growing like a flame fed by harsh winds. They wouldn't snuff her out so easily. She'd fight. She'd face whatever came her way, as a journalist and a mother. But that feeling of being watched never left her at that moment. Her phone buzzed again. Emily picked it up, a chill running down her spine. This time, the number was familiar. It belonged to the caller she'd spoken to earlier. She hesitated, heart racing as the words made their way back into her mind. This might be the moment that decided everything. Who was on the other end? Would they bring help or further complications? With a shaky hand, she pressed answer, her pulse steadying for the encounter ahead. Hello? Emily's voice was steady, but inside, a storm brewed. Emily, it's Lena, the voice on the other end said, laden with urgency. I hope I'm not too late. Emily's heart raced. Lena was the mysterious informant she'd been waiting for, and yet fear crept in. I got your message. You said you had information about the corporation. Yes, but we need to meet. It's about your article and the people who have gone missing, Lena's voice shook. There's more at stake than you realize. I can't say everything over the phone. Emily glanced out the window again. The figure remained, a silent specter watching her every move. Where do you want to meet? An old cafe downtown, the one off Pine Street. We can talk there in about an hour. You'll be safe if you come straight there. Can I trust you? Emily asked, the wariness creeping back into her tone. Trust had become a precious commodity, one she couldn't afford to give away easily. Yes, but hurry, Emily. They're watching you. Lena's voice dipped to a whisper. I have evidence. We have to get the truth out before it's too late. With a mix of determination and dread, Emily agreed. I'll be there. As she hung up, reality hit her like a wave. She needed to leave right away. She didn't have time to dwell on second guesses. She slipped her laptop in her bag, grabbed her jacket, and paused at the window once more. The figure was still there, unmoving. Taking a deep breath, she pulled open the door and stepped outside, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The air felt heavy, charged with the tension of everything happening around her. Each step down the sidewalk pulled her further from safety, but closer to the truth. She walked quickly, fighting the instinct to look over her shoulder every few seconds. Would James be watching her? Shouldn't he be here, protecting her? The uncertainty clung to her like a shadow. The world felt muted, colors dimmed under her rising anxiety. She arrived at the cafe, a small, unassuming building nestled between chain coffee shops. The place had a familiar warmth, but now it felt foreign, as if it might swallow her whole. Inside, the soft hum of conversation and the aroma of brewed coffee welcomed her, yet her nerves screamed otherwise. She spotted Lena in a corner booth, her expression tense, eyes darting over the room as if searching for the unseen. Emily. Lena waved frantically, leaning forward. Over here. Taking tentative steps, Emily approached. What did you want to tell me? She asked, lowering her voice. We don't have much time. Lena held up a folder filled with papers. I dug deep into the corporation. What they're hiding is sinister, much worse than anyone thought. The disappearances, they're connected to your article. Emily's heart sank. She swallowed hard, the implications of Lena's words washing over her. How? What can you prove? Lena handed her the folder, her hands trembling. This is just the tip. The deeper I went, the more dangerous it got. They stop at nothing to protect their interests. I need to be careful. Just then, Emily caught a movement through the window. The figure was now inside, scanning the cafe, their eyes landing on her. Panic erupted in her chest. Lena, we need to go. Now. Lena's eyes widened, her expression mirroring Emily's shock as they darted toward the entrance. But before they could get up, the door swung open. A man stepped in, looking every bit like the shadow of trouble. Emily recognized him from her earlier research, a low-level enforcer for the corporation. He had to be here on business. Stop right there, he said, locking eyes with Emily. You're not going anywhere. The room fell silent. Every gaze turned toward them, leaving Emily feeling exposed, her heartbeat reverberating in her ears. What would she do next? Stand her ground or flee? The weight of her mission crashed down, and suddenly the stakes she had taken on felt more real than ever. What was Lena's next move? Was this the moment everything unraveled, or could she still escape? Emily's mind raced, her decisions growing more critical by the second. Emily's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the muffled conversations around her. The enforcer was a wall of menace, his eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that felt like ice. She shot a glance at Lena, who was frozen in place, her wide eyes reflecting pure fear. "Lena, we have to go," Emily whispered urgently. But the enforcer, sensing the intent in her voice, stepped closer. "You both need to listen," he said, his voice low and threatening. "What do you think you're doing here, isn't just dangerous? It's suicidal." Emily's mind raced. She could run for the door, but with the enforcer blocking her escape, it felt like a trap. In that heartbeat of panic, she noticed the faces of the cafe patrons. Some were intrigued, while others appeared afraid, all eyes glued to the scene unfolding before them. It was as if the world had narrowed down to just her and the man before her. "Let us not make this harder than it has to be," he continued, a smirk creeping onto his face. "Just hand over the folder, and I promise you'll walk out of here unharmed." Emily shook her head, clutching the folder tightly, the paper crinkling under her grip. Inside were her hopes, evidence of the truth that could shine light on the darkness surrounding the corporation. The weight of it felt monumental, treacherous. "No, we're not giving you anything." With those words, she felt an unexpected surge of courage. This was not just about her anymore. Lena needed her, and so did the people who had gone missing, those whose stories screamed to be heard. The enforcer chuckled, a sinister sound that made her stomach twist. "You're playing a dangerous game, girl. And trust me, it rarely ends well for the players." "Then I guess we'll see who comes out on top," Emily shot back, determination hardening her resolve. Lena's eyebrows shot up, a flicker of surprise flashing across her face, clearly impressed by Emily's bravery. In that moment of defiance, the doors swung open again, and a few more patrons rushed in, captivated by the commotion. The cafe felt increasingly cramped, and Emily's pulse quickened. "Are you with them?" The enforcer barked at the newcomers, his attention momentarily diverted. Taking advantage of that brief moment, Emily grabbed Lena's hand, urging her up from a booth. "Now," she whispered sharply, and they bolted toward the back exit. A heart-stopping rush of adrenaline surged through them as they darted through the small hallway leading to the restrooms, a narrow escape from the enforcer's clenched fists. "Go, go," Emily urged as they reached the door, adrenaline fueling their movements. They burst out of the cafe and into the alley, the cool air enveloping them like a fresh start, yet the threat still loomed nearby. "What now?" Lena gasped, catching her breath against the wall of the brick building. Emily pulled out the folder, eyes scanning the contents while her mind spun. "We need to find a place to hide and get these documents somewhere safe. This can't end here. If they're looking for us already, we need to act fast." Lena nodded, her face pale but resolved. "I might know a safe spot, but it's risky," she said, glancing back toward the entrance of the cafe. "Risky is better than dead." "Lead the way," Emily replied, determination guiding her forward. As they hurried deeper into the shadows of the alley, Emily felt the weight of their choices press against her heart. Every moment brought them closer to the truth, but also deeper into danger. Would they uncover the mysteries hidden within the corporation, or find themselves swallowed by it? A shadow flickered behind them, and Emily's stomach dropped. They weren't safe yet, and the real fight had only just begun. Emily and Lena sprinted down the narrow alley, the sounds of the city drowned out by their racing hearts. The folder, a lifeline in a sea of chaos, felt heavy in Emily's hand. She glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see the enforcer charging after them. They skidded to a stop at a crossroads where shadows entwined like whispers between the buildings. "Which way?" Lena panted, her voice strained as she pressed her back against the cold brick wall. Left, Emily decided, not thinking twice. She had no idea where it led, but it felt right, felt like a path veiled in secrecy. They bolted left into an even narrower passage, the air thick with uncertainty. Each step echoed their fear, the sound more haunting than the last. Emily could hear the faint buzz of muffled voices behind them, the enforcer rallying his authority. She didn't dare glance back. Whatever came next, they needed to keep moving. What if they find us? Lena's voice wavered, revealing the vulnerability buried beneath her usual bravado. They can't, Emily whispered, trying to convince both her and Lena. We've come too far. They turned the corner, and a dilapidated door graced the end of the passage. Emily approached cautiously, checking for any signs of life. She pushed against the metal handle. It creaked open, revealing a dimly lit storage unit. Boxes filled the small room, each one a forgotten relic of something that once mattered. Here, she gestured, ushering Lena inside before peering out into the alley. The coast seemed clear. The rush of adrenaline began to settle into the quiet weight of reality, but fear still lingered, creeping in with every moment of silence. Once inside, Lena sank onto a dusty crate, catching her breath. What if they find us here? They won tea. Emily reassured her, though her own voice wavered slightly. Not if we're smart. Lena took the folder from Emily's hand, her fingers trembling. Are you sure about this? It's a lot larger than we thought. What if we're not ready for it? Emily blinked at her. Ready or not, we have to be brave. This might surprise people. They need to hear these stories. What if they hate us for revealing the truth? Lena questioned, her gaze locked onto the folder. Emily took a deep breath, a lump forming in her throat. Then we're doing it for the right reasons. For the people who can't speak up for themselves. She believed that with all her heart, but she couldn't ignore the fear gnawing at her. Not everyone will see it our way, Lena, but we have to try. The room felt heavy with the weight of her words as she took a moment to survey their surroundings. Dark corners held shadows like secrets, and boxes filled with forgotten things loomed over them. This was truly a sanctuary amidst chaos, and it felt almost sacred. Just when she thought they might catch their breath, a loud crash echoed from the entrance of the alley. A loud, authoritative voice called out, "They went this way." The heart-stopping reality of being hunted sent cold shivers coursing through Emily. "Emily, what do we do?" Lena's frantic whisper punctured the thickening silence. A plan formed in Emily's mind, but it was risky. She pressed her lips into a thin line, ready to take one more step into danger. "We can't just sit here. Follow my lead." With steely resolve, she dashed toward the back of the storage unit. They needed another exit, another escape route. Each inch toward the unknown sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. But with the enforcer hot on their trail, would they slip away in time, or would they be caught in the web of secrets they were trying to expose? As Emily pushed open a hidden panel in the wall, the weight of uncertainty crashed over her. The truth was waiting for them, but so was danger. Would they flee into freedom or fall into a trap? The hidden panel creaked as it revealed a passageway shrouded in darkness. Emily's heart raced, pounding like a drum in her chest. Adrenaline surged, pushing her forward despite the uncertainty that loomed high above her like a dark cloud. "Emily, wait." Lena's voice broke through the fog of urgency, but there was no time to hesitate. Emily could hear the enforcer's voice getting closer, calling out orders that split the air. They needed to move, needed to flee this sanctuary before it became a cage. "Come on, it's now or never." Emily beckoned for Lena, who reluctantly followed, her breath shallow and quick. The passage was cramped, filled with old crates and the smell of must that clawed at their throats. They ducked and weaved through the clutter, the glow of light at the end of the tunnel appearing like a promise of safety. But with every step, Emily felt the weight of the folder pressing against her side, a constant reminder of the risks they were taking. Lena stumbled slightly, her hand gripping Emily's shoulder for balance. "Do you think they really hurt us?" Emily cast a glance over her shoulder, thoughts racing. "I don't know," she admitted, fighting to keep her voice steady. But we can't let them intimidate us. We've got the truth on our side, and that's powerful. The light grew brighter as they reached the end of the tunnel, spilling into a dimly lit alley that seemed almost serene compared to the chaos behind them. Still, a heavy shadow lurked. They couldn't drop their guard. As they emerged from the passage, Emily scanned the street. No one appeared to follow them, but their pursuers could be lurking just beyond sight. She had to act fast. Let us keep moving. We need a place to lay low. They darted across the alley, sticking close to the buildings, when suddenly, a figure emerged from a doorway. A tall man in a dark coat stood there, arms folded and an air of confidence radiating from him. Emily tensed, ready to bolt, but something about him didn't scream danger. "Are you two in trouble?" he asked, his voice steady and calm. It was the kind of voice that could either soothe or cast suspicion, and Emily hesitated. "Who are you?" she asked sharply, eyeing him warily. Behind her, Lena held her breath, fingers tightening around the folder like a lifeline. "Just a friend," he replied, stepping forward. "I can help you, but you have to trust me." "Trust? Right now?" "You must be kidding," Lena muttered, her eyes darting between Emily and the stranger. "But he might," Emily countered, feeling the urgency of their predicament. "We need to know why we should." The man sighed, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "Because I know what's in that folder, and I know the danger you're facing. If you don't want to end up as collateral damage, you'll have to come with me." The words hung heavy in the air, each syllable charged with possibility. Emily's mind raced with thoughts of safety, hiding, and revealing truths that could shake the foundation of everything they feared. "Do we trust him?" Lena whispered, panic flickering in her eyes. Emily felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. "I don't know, but we have to make a choice." Just then, the unmistakable sound of heavy boots echoed down the alley, swiftly approaching. Emily faced Lena, whose gaze held equal parts fear and fight. "Follow him or risk it," she said, grounding herself in the moment. "We need to choose fast." "Emily, what if he is lying?" With seconds ticking away, the choice loomed before them: risk trust or abandon all hope. They could hear their pursuers now, voices clearer and more menacing, and Emily felt a surge of determination break through her doubt. "Let us go. Now," she shouted, losing herself in adrenaline as she grabbed Lena's hand and pulled her toward the stranger. As they sprinted toward the man, Emily's heart raced. This leap of faith could lead them to safety, but what awaited them on the other side of the door? Would this so-called friend turn out to be an ally, or was he just another player in a game far larger than they could fathom? As Emily dashed forward, the reality of their choices twisted in her gut, the answers just out of reach. The man stepped aside, gesturing toward the door with an urgency that set Emily's pulse racing again. "Hurry," he urged, glancing nervously down the alley. "They're close." Emily exchanged a quick look with Lena, who seemed torn between fear and the fragile threads of hope. With a firm squeeze of Lena's hand, Emily pushed through the door, dragging her friend into the dimly lit interior. The room they stepped into was cluttered, like an artist's studio overflowing with canvases but darker, with the pungent scent of oil paints mingling with wood varnish. Shelves lined the wooden walls, filled with books and various objects that seemed to tell a story of their own. A small lamp flickered weakly, illuminating the dust particles in the air like tiny stars. "Welcome to my hideout," the man said, closing the door quietly behind them. "My name is Carter. I'm not your enemy." He looked between them, gauging their reactions, his expression calm yet firm. "But we don't have much time. Why should we trust you?" Lena asked, her voice small but steady. Carter ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time, a flicker of vulnerability crossed his face. "Because they're coming for you. And the information in that folder, it's bigger than you can imagine. If the enforcers get their hands on it, there will be consequences not just for you, but for everyone you care about." Emily felt a chill crawl down her spine. The idea that they weren't just fighting for themselves, but possibly for others too, made her stomach churn. "Okay," she said, trying to steady her voice. "What's next?" Carter stepped closer, lowering his voice. I can get you out of the city. You'll be safe, at least for now. But you need to trust me completely. What about the folder? Lena asked, her grip still tight around the thin document. Split-second decision, Emily said, glancing warily at Lena. You hold on to it. We need it. Carter nodded, looking more serious than ever. Good. Follow me. There are safe routes through the building. Just stick close. They followed him through a narrow hallway that twisted around corners, the faint sound of footfalls outside setting Emily's heart to race. She could feel every breath, every skittish glance. As they pressed on, the uncertainty heavy in the air. Why are you helping us? Emily finally asked, half expecting a twist in the tale, a hidden agenda, a betrayal waiting to reveal itself. Carter paused, his eyes darkening momentarily. Because I know what it feels like to be hunted. I've seen people destroyed by this powerful system. I want to let you become another statistic. His sincerity struck a chord within her, a sense they shared a common enemy, a fight that extended beyond their personal plight. They reached the back of the hallway, where a door led to a staircase descending into darkness. This will lead to the underground transit. Stay quiet, no matter what. As they moved down the stairs, the air grew more oppressive. Emily felt Lena's hand tighten on her arm, and she turned to reassure her, but something in the girl's eyes told her that they were both losing hope. Halfway down, a loud crash erupted from above. Echoes of shouting and fierce commands shot through the building. They're here, Carter hissed, urgency returning to his voice. We need to move. Emily's heart raced, fear coursing through her. They were running out of time, and the stakes were higher than ever. The realization that they were in a race, not just for their lives, but for the truth, ignited a fierce resolve in her. Let us go, she urged, pushing Lena ahead and following Carter into the unknown. What lay beneath the city? Were they close to freedom or a deeper entrapment? In that moment, fragments of doubt flooded Emily's mind, but the fire of determination burned brighter. They had to find out, or risk losing everything. The air in the underground transit was thick with anticipation, danger wrapping around Emily and Lena like a suffocating blanket. As they navigated the dimly lit corridor, the reality of their situation crashed over them. They were on the run, hunted for the truth they sought to unveil. Carter, how do we know this leads to safety? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Fear rippled through her. Trust me, the route is monitored by allies of mine, he replied, glancing anxiously over his shoulder. You just need to stay close and keep moving. Every step echoed in the tight space, creating an unsettling rhythm that matched her racing heart. Emily squeezed Lena's hand, feeling the tension radiating from her friend. They were in this together, but how long could they carry on this way? What lay at the end of the tunnel? Just as they reached an exit door marked with a faint glow, another loud crash shattered the silence above. The thud reverberated in Emily's chest, as if the walls themselves were terrified. They're getting closer, Lena gasped, her eyes wide with panic. Now, Carter shouted, swinging the door open with urgency. They rushed through, emerging into an alley littered with debris. The sun was setting, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the walls. We can't stop now. This way, Carter urged, leading them deeper into the maze of alleys. Emily's thoughts were in chaos. Each footfall carried the gravity of their choice. Expose the truth at all costs or flee and live in the dark. She refused to let fear guide her anymore. As they turned a corner, they stumbled upon an old, nondescript van parked against the wall. The rusted exterior looked abandoned, but a wave of hope surged through Emily. Is this your way out? Carter nodded, glancing up nervously. Hurry, get in. They climbed into the van, the claustrophobic space seeming to shrink with each passing second. Carter slid into the driver's seat and fished out keys that jingled with the sound of escape. What about the folder? Lena whispered urgently. Emily clutched it to her chest, determination reigniting within her. They'll never silence us. We just need to find a way to publish this and reach the world. She could feel the weight of the stories held within those pages, stories that cried out for justice and recognition. Carter started the engine, the sound signaling both hope and peril as they sped off down the alley. The tension in Emily's chest tightened. Were they really safe? What would happen next? Behind them, the familiar rumble of heavy boots grew louder in pursuit. "They're following us," Lena exclaimed, glancing back through the rearview mirror. Emily felt the echoes of fear creeping back, but she brushed it aside. "Then let us show them they can intimidate us," Emily declared, adrenaline surging. "Carter, we need to find a safe house where we can figure out our next steps. I have a contact who can help us." "Just hold on tight," Carter replied. He swerved around corners, the van rattling as they weaved through the streets, leaving threats and shadows behind. With every passing moment, Emily felt herself becoming stronger. The truth couldn't be buried forever. The world needed to know what was happening behind the polished facades. They finally pulled up in front of an unassuming building, the kind that blended into the background, just another structure in the city. Carter opened the door and motioned for them to follow him. Inside, they were greeted by a small group of weary but determined faces. "We've been waiting for you," one woman said, her eyes glinting with a mixture of warmth and concern. "You're safe here." Emily felt a flutter of relief wash over her. "I need everyone to know what is happening. We can't let them win." The group nodded, the resolve among them growing palpable. They gathered around a table strewn with papers and laptops, creating an air of collaboration infused with urgency. In that moment, Emily realized they were no longer alone in this fight. Together, they could amplify the voices of the unheard, bring to light the truth buried beneath layers of lies. With her heart swelling with determination, she shared her findings, her voice rising with every word. "We have the power to expose the hypocrisy of the corporate giants that silence us. We can share these stories and demand accountability." As her words resonated across the room, Emily saw the faces of her children flash before her eyes. The memory of their unwavering belief ignited her spirit even further. She was fighting not just for herself, but for a future where they could thrive in truth. Carter leaned in, eyes shining. "Let's make a plan. We can launch a campaign that gets this information into every corner of the internet. Your words will be what people rally behind." With renewed energy, the collective hope filled the room. They worked tirelessly, keying in facts, stories, and emotions. Emily felt the fire of their passion rise, bright and unwavering. As night fell, Emily stared at the glowing screen before her, the weight of their undertaking settling comfortably in her heart. She could feel the pivotal moment approaching, a moment where truth would rise above fear, and their voices would resonate far and wide. She turned to her new allies, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you for believing in this cause. Together, we'll break the silence." And with that, they prepared to unleash their shared truths upon the world, knowing full well that this was just the beginning of a beautiful rebellion against the darkness. As they pressed forward, the realization crashed down around Emily, and she couldn't help but grin. This fight wasn't just for her or her children. It was for every unheard voice, every story waiting to be told. This time, they would not be silenced. So what will you do now? Will you surrender to complacency, or will you stand up for what is right? You need to subscribe to the channel now so you never miss another powerful story like this. Leave a like to show your support and help spread these vital messages. Comment below with your reactions and thoughts on this shocking ending. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second to share, because only true fans know how important it is to support the channel.